And now we'll take a look at the Sydney lineup. Abba, just the one change there. Jared Crouch comes back in for Lewis Roberts-Thompson, whose ankle injury didn't come up during the week. Pretty settled lineup for the Swannies at them.
Now, Treadway got a bunch of the goals last week. He is equal leader on the Coleman medal. He kicked 7 last week. But Daniel Motlop is a man who, well, he was missing a bit last week. It wasn't the usual the skills that we expect, but there's some amazing skills we've seen from him just recently.
Yeah, but if you look at the footage here, that go where he just flicks it up. Everybody tries to do that at footy training. We used to do that all the time when you run out in the ground. He's done that. And you've told me this is second go?
Second go. You'd think if you had 100 goes, you might get one, but second go. This was first go, and that's from about four rows back where you'd stand when you're about 10 years old in the crowd.
So modest. That's from the car park, Abba. That is absolutely sensational. But, again, this is what the Indigenous boys do. We all do it, but they just have the freakish ability to do it more often than us. And tell you what, his highlight reel is fantastic. Just tag that on the end of that, and that's going to be outside.
Good. We are underway here at the SCG. Jolly and Brogan in the ruck. Peter Burgoyne, not really a clearance, although it trickles to Bolton. And he ducked into that, but got one for too high, Craig Bolton.
We thought he might have been on Treadray, but Ted Richards got the job on Treadray today. Bolton's got Motlop.
Just the chip kick, McVeigh. And he sends it inside 50. A high ball. Hall. How's that for the start?
Too easy.
Barry Hall.
That was a bit easy, all right. Called it well, Spud.
Well, both defenders were trying to find the body, but the key to the high ball is go at the ball, kill the ball. We just see the replay here. You see everyone trying to find the body. Carlisle was caught trailing in Hall, but one other defender had to get a piece of that football.
Kicked 5 goals last week in a return to form against the West Coast, of course, last week, and they wouldn't have won without his 5. This for the perfect start for Barry Hall and the Sydney Swans. Took a minute. Alapate Carlisle with some body contact, and Lee Colbert's downstairs. Colby.
Just noticed the football they're using today. They're actually Brendan Favola, after he made a point of it not being kicked in.
Yep.
It's actually kicked in. It's been used in the warm-up.
In fact, it looks like it's about 5 weeks old. Port Adelaide get the clearance. Ted Richards and the little toe towards McVeigh, who was going to shepherd for Shaw. But it didn't bounce kindly for him, and all of a sudden Jolly's in the spot. Goods, 60 out. A wobbler over the head of Hall. O'Loughlin almost. Pettigrew had a piece of it. Barry Hall back in. Snap smothered by Chad Corns. Kirk a chance. The tagger to attack. And they've got 2 on the ball within 2 minutes. Coming off a very good game last week as well, Brett Kirk. Tagged Matt Prentice out of the game. And a chance to do some counter-attacking today.
Well, it's amazing. Sydney have had 10 disposals and kicked 2 goals.
Port Adelaide have touched the ball twice.
Done a bad rate. Pearce in off the square quickly. Peter Burgoyne, and he slips it to Surgeon. Get it inside 50, but it's going to be a wide inside 50, and Shaw can't take the mark. Ebert tapped it out to Logan. Lays a tackle on Craig Bolton. Didn't have it. Bevan likewise got the handball up. Treadray gets it from Logan. Dragged down by Richards. And the umpire giving him the benefit of the doubt there. We'll get a ball up. The umpires today, Hayden Kennedy, Matt Stevick. And this one right now, Heath Ryan about to thump it into the turf. Brogan, Thomas, Cassisi. And there's that double gang team tackle. Port Adelaide have finally started. Brogan almost thrown out of that by Jolly. Peter Burgoyne wraps it up, and we'll get another ball up.
We have a look there at Chad Corns. He's trying to play loose behind the ball, and you can see Buchanan, whose opponent's Surgeon, just making sure that Chad Corns isn't allowed to get behind the ball on his own, but he's now forcing him forward.
Jude Bolton tries to slip a handball out. Dominic Cassisi had a piece of it, and he's dragged down with a good tackle.
Reece Shaw in the goal square is quite interesting. Tom Logan doing a defensive role, so trying to stop the run and counter-attack from Reece Shaw has been in outstanding form.
The Swans have every player bar 3 of their team inside defensive 50. Swans don't have a player forward of halfway at the moment. And we'll get another ball up because there's this mass congestion. You can throw a blanket over 20 of them at the moment.
Well, it's 28 there, Dwayne.
Yep.
There's 28 players around the stoppage. Have a look at that there. You've just got 6 or 7 players behind the stoppage and 2 in the goal square. So Port need to spread and open it up here a little bit.
Ball slapped down to Dom Cassisi. Handball out. Motlop. Corns. Cassisi. Brogan. He went back into traffic there and holding the ball.
Well, he went the wrong way. They nearly got it out, and big Dean Brogan thought he'd just go back into where all the players were, basically.
O'Keefe to McVeigh. Jude Bolton. Flicking it around in defence, waiting for players to get forward. Grundy, Craig Bolton, Jude Bolton. They had to go back to Bevan. There was no one forward of centre to kick to.
Well, O'Keefe's got the corridor here if he sees him. He did now.
Kirk gives it to him. Well spotted Pickers. Sends it long. Buchanan's inside 50. Can't get a decent fly at it, but he almost gathers the crumb. Keeps it in the area for Barry Hall. Gave it up to Ablett, and that just travelled the 15. Chad Corns in the hole. To Travis Boak, having a pretty good season. Travis Boak. To Dom Cassisi, likewise. Arguably coming off his best game as captain last week. 23 possessions, but he really was a driving force in clearances and with the tackling. This is Robbie Gray running the wing, being corralled, so loops the handball over the top. Motlop, this is kickable for him, lines up, goes long, and that won't make YouTube. It was marked on the line by Jolly.
Oh, terrific play by Jolly. I watched him make a real beeline for that goal square, which was unprotected. He worked all the way from the centre of the ground. That was terrific play by Jolly. Saved a certain goal.
Goods to Grundy.
It's a shepherd.
Just pops that pass up.
Not a great
Made
kick.
it tough for Jared Moore. Slipped out to Kane Corns from Cassisi. Chaplin. Kane Corns to his brother Chad. He's got Brogan short, and I'm not too sure Brogan realised that was for him. Toe poke by Motlop. Another spectacular little possession. Pearce dragged down. Spectacular tackle by Michael O'Loughlin. Grundy inboard. Craig Bolton. Michael O'Loughlin. Little push on Mount Chesky's. He got the kick away. Jude Bolton. Buchanan. He's got White out wide. Spots him now.
Yeah, Jared Moore should push forward here. And McVeigh's pushed hard forward for Sydney as well. He's a kick and a half away.
Jesse White inboard. Buchanan takes off. Pops that up, hoping for Barry Hall to be a jumper. He's in front spot. Good fist by Pettigrew. Into the post. Behind.
That's a better spoil. Third man up. Get a piece of the ball.
Eamon Buchanan, just the 4 kicks last week against the West Coast Eagles. A little quieter by his standards. And there's that Pettigrew kill of the ball, as they call it. Travis Boak. And now it opens up for Port Adelaide. Logan can drive this to the goal square. There's no one there.
It's not a good kick.
No, it wasn't.
75 metres away. I mean, that was the lowest percentage kick he could have done.
Grundy to Bevan. One back pocket to the other.
We've got numbers everywhere down this side of the wing now.
Goods. And he took on Matt Thomas, and they've got some history, those two. Kirk. Bounce pass. Tough for Bevan, so he mops up the mess himself. Kirk. Back to Bevan. And now White called into it by Bird. Good call too. Said it's your ball, and now he gets the reward of a handball.
Clever kick.
Pops it inside 50 to Jared Moore. Can't mark it. Ablett. Sidestep. Nice. Kieran Jack, the hero last week. High bomb. And McVeigh marks 15 metres out.
Good play. Good hard running from McVeigh. You called it early, Pickers, with McVeigh pushing forward. And that is clever, because you've got Peter Burgoyne, his direct opponent. You just see the poor kick just long down the middle of the ground. You know the extra players are going to be playing the corridor. But getting back to the McVeigh-Burgoyne matchup, that's great hard running, forcing Burgoyne to play as a defender.
Been good this year. 7 goals, 4 to his name so far for the season. And he made the goal umpire do some dancing, but it's there.
Started really well, McVeigh. He's had the 4 disposals. He's kicked a goal and 2 goal assists. Not a bad start.
Well, they elected to play today without Nathan Cracker, Port Adelaide. They rested him for general soreness. And they miss him in defence at the moment, being their go-to man to take it out of defensive 50. No one really going anywhere in the centre. Moore got the clearance. Front spot, Ablett beat before to the end by Chaplin, who sends it long. Matner gets back. Half-back flank. 19 plays nil. Craig Bird. Brett Kirk.
He's been busy too, Kirk.
Michael O'Loughlin, look out. Hands inboard to Mattner. He just sat it there for him and put him into trouble. And that's holding the ball. No. Okay, no prior opportunity. Sometimes if you don't make an exhaustive effort to get rid of the ball, they penalise you. That time he just took the tackle and was okay with it. From the ball up.
After looking at the replay, he's a little bit lucky for mine.
Yeah, Brogan to Cassisi. He was pushed in the back. To get out of trouble, Malcheski. Barry Hall's on the move. Gathers the bouncing ball nicely. Back to McVeigh. They're teaming well from the pocket. Takes on Carlisle. Barry Hall back inboard. Buchanan, that'll do. And this for a 4-goal-0 start.
McVeigh's on fire, Lee Colbert. He looks like he's coming off the ground for a well-earned rest.
Both him and Peter Burgoyne coming off for a spell, but interesting, Peter Burgoyne going to McVeigh. It just means that they thought clearly Sydney were going to tag Peter Burgoyne, so it's not working because McVeigh's doing a great job.
Well, they can't get their hands on the ball at the moment, Port Adelaide.
A 4-goal-0 start. Amazing. The Swans are at home, of course. 13 scoreless minutes for Port Adelaide.
Just go through a couple more of those key stats. We know that not getting their hands on the footy, they're going at 46% with efficiency when they do. They're getting smashed in every major area of the ground. 15-6 in contested possessions, 23-5 in handball receives. So they're just not getting their hands on the footy, and when they do, they're under pressure.
Well, when they're under pressure also, the tackles are 13-5 Sydney's favour also. So they've got a great balance at the moment, inside and outside the contest.
We saw Josh Carr there back into the Port Adelaide lineup with the late change. Matthew Westhoff was named in the team, but couldn't take his place. That is a tap to Jude Bolton. Mark dropped by Grundy. Crowd a little disappointed with that. Everything's been going their way. Buchanan inboard. Jude Bolton, Barry Hall.
Oh, there are loose players outside here.
And he just pokes it inboard to Jolly, who is pretty good when it comes to kicking a goal.
Well, we only saw the only real chance Port Adelaide had to kick a goal. Jolly was running the other way and marking it on the goal line. And then he's pushed forward hard here, but there was another player at the back that was loose.
And this is why Jolly is in line for All-Australian honours this year, because he's pushing forward and he's getting some goal-scoring pressure on his direct opponent.
Well, Grundy also was there on his own, so either one of them could have taken that mark.
And he's close to 70% with his goal kicking as well. And that makes him even more valuable. And that was never in doubt.
Shelling peas.
It's a 5-goal-0 start for the Swans. 5 separate goal scorers for Port Adelaide to try and stop right now with their 5 goals. Mark Williams, Peter Rode. Under siege right now. Jolly in the ruck. Knocks it down. Modlop, the Marlin variety. Back into the team for his first game of the year. Pearce to Hartlett. Robbie Gray, and that's a good mark, Jarrod Crouch. But it was back with the flight.
There was a kick in hope from Hartlett. There was no direction in the kick. It was just a long kick to an area. Kick long to advantage to your teammate.
Look at him go to the corridor again.
So Craig Bolton, O'Keefe, he misses Shaw there. He got a hand on it. May have been expected to do better. Boak sends it long, and Modlop fists it down to his own advantage. Daniel Modlop, little toe poke out to Kane Corns, needs to hit a target, looks at the pocket. Marlon Modlop flies, can't mark. Robbie Gray knocks it out. Mattner gets the handball towards the boundary. Craig Bolton. Oh, big bump on Jarrod Crouch by Daniel Modlop.
Head high.
No, I don't think there was anything much in that. It was
just
free.
free.
It was a free, but
it was a free kick.
Nothing untoward, I didn't believe. Now, this is what I'm interested with Sydney. They'll take it wide and then immediately they'll have looked inside if they can. They're doing it inside their forward 50 as much as possible as well.
So Crouch, Richards, Jack all combined to get it towards White at half forward. Knocks it to Buchanan. Spears the pass, looking for Michael O'Loughlin. Hasn't seen a lot of it yet. Ablett bumped by Hartlett. Dives back in and ties it up. We'll get a ball up on attacking 50.
Let's have a look at the Motlop bump here.
It's hardly a free kick, actually.
That's just a good bump, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very good bump.
I think the umpire panicked there. Why is that a free? For what particular reason?
He thought there may have been head-eye contact, but after looking at that, he hit him in the shoulder.
Yeah, that's panic. Chad Corns scoops it wide. Hartlett wrapped up. Buchanan. And we'll get a ball up And we don't want the umpires to take that out of our game, do we? That is a beautiful part of AFL footy.
It certainly is. Now, Kane Corns, we talked pre-game about him maybe going to McVeigh. He's on O'Keefe at the moment. Whilst O'Keefe hasn't had a massive impact, he's only had 3 touches. I would be putting him, Kane Corns, onto Jared McVeigh as quick as I can if I was the coach. And I'm just making that match up someone else.
Laid with a slap down. Peter Burgoyne nicely through traffic. Carr likewise through traffic to Boak. Robbie Gray on the move.
Their delivery forward hasn't been great, Port, at the moment.
Crouch peels back. He's got 2 to beat here, Robbie Gray. Matner, in fact, make that 3 to beat. Shaw sends it wide. White in game number 9 for the Swans. Jesse White.
Been impressive. Jesse White.
And the thing with Port's inside 50s, they've had 6, but they've been shallow entries. They've been to about 40 to 30 metres out. There's been no long driving kick to the top of the square.
Matner said during the week he loves playing against Port. Been a showdown specialist for the Crows before. To Craig Bolton, to Hall, who
in the back.
Almost had a piece of that, but he pushed Carlisle out illegally.
Yeah, just a little bit over anxious there, Barry Hall. He's looking at the umpire saying, who, me? Yeah, there's definitely hands in the back. Just have a look at the replay here. Oh, gee, I'll take it back. It looked from my angle, from up here, but after looking at the replay, it was only on the arm. That's not a free kick.
Pettigrew, some pressure on that kick from Michael O'Loughlin. Marlon Motlop.
That's the bounce here.
Boak sits up. Oh, he made him a target.
Oh,
and he shrugs Matner. Some good strength there. Logan. Okay, Port Adelaide a chance for a score. Kane Corns to Treadray. Can't get a run at it. And...
Nah, free kick was there.
Treadray.
No, it was against Motlop.
Okay.
And Jolly's
was Ted Richards' ball.
Have a look.
Yeah,
oh, maybe it is.
Treadray.
Yeah, too high.
There's a push there as well from Motlop, I thought. But
and the reason Port have to go long down the line, Pickers, Jolly's work rate. Jolly gets back and stands in the corridor 30 metres out for Sydney. Hence, Port have to go long down the line.
Well, they're just not quick enough to react when the Swans are taking it out of defence. Oh, they've got 2 and 3 loose players most of the time in the corridor, in the centre of the ground. Look at Malcheski's down there with his arms up. That's been going on all quarter.
McVeigh.
Grundy's on here too.
Jolly. Well, he made out he was going to Grundy and sends it long in the Barry Hall and the Goods direction. Adam Goods.
Well, that's the beauty of Adam Goods. We talked about that at the start of the game, just the height mismatch with Thomas. He's very brave, Thomas, but in the air, you would suggest that Adam Goods is always going to have Matty Thomas's number with the contested mark situation, and that's fantastic play. You just see here Hall, O'Loughlin and Goods just comes in far too big, too strong, too mobile.
Coming off a 26 possession 3-goal game against the West Coast Eagles last week, and this to make it 6 goals 1 to no score as we tick into time on opening term. I mentioned earlier they have some history, these two. It was the Adam Goods bump on Matt Thomas a year ago that forced Lee Matthews, the coach of the Brisbane Lions, to call Adam Goods a protected species when he wasn't booked, reported for that bump.
Doesn't sound a lot 10 centimetres that he's got on Matty Thomas, Adam Goods, but when he runs and jumps and extends the arms, it's a big, big man.
Kirk to White, towards goal. Unbelievable start for the Swans. 7 straight to 0.
Oh, that is... Paul Roos will be upstairs and big Steve Torber will be up there, the big grin on his face. You work with these young blokes that take forever to come on. Now, I've been so impressed with this bloke today already, but that has just been fantastic play out of the middle of the ground. Ruckman just don't do that stuff, Danny Froy. They just don't do it. They never follow on.
Well,
they bang them from 50.
They're following on today. Both Ruckman have scored a goal already for Sydney, and that's a fantastic start. Great to see White pushing forward, kicking a goal.
7 goals for 7 different goal scorers. It's a movie, isn't it?
What are you talking about? 7 dates for 7 different days or something?
Leave me out of it.
Peter Burgoyne with the clearance, if you can call him that.
Movie 7.
Laid.
Well, there'll be no heads in boxes here, Danny.
Logan.
Well, there will be if Port don't start winning some hard ball.
Will there ever? Motlop takes the mark under some
just
pressure from Shaw.
Now.
Sends it to the square. Ebert and Treadray both there, and again the Swans with the numbers.
Look at the run out of the fence, though.
Bolton, Bird, the other Bolton, Jude, Crouch, all getting a piece of it. Matner with a don't argue. Back to Crouch, back to Jude. Malcheski, O'Keefe. This is beautiful to watch. Barry Hall. And hassled off it by Carlisle. Pettigrew, Chad Corns. Crowd booing because the Swans have had an inside 50 without a goal being scored from it. Logan.
They've only been inside 12 times for 7 goals.
Yep.
Just the efficiency of Sydney at the moment. The last time you want to come to Sydney, the SCG, and get behind are the Sydney Swans. I mean, they are a team that are terrific when they're in front. They know how to close a game down. But this is as sharp as I've seen Sydney for 2 or 3 years at the start of a match.
Clean. They haven't fumbled.
They're just on. If you
They're
ever
in
look at their
sync.
players, they're on the move. They're looking very sharp. Port Adelaide, on the other hand, are looking flat-footed, and no one's prepared to initiate at the moment.
Pettigrew towards Ebert. And a good score by Crouch.
Again, look at the support come in.
And Bird gives it back to Crouch. He just waited out there for a while, knowing the ball would come back. Malcheski, Craig Bolton, Barry Hall calls for it long in his direction. Can't get a run at it. And Barry Hall not happy. He gave the free kick away there.
You're very happy, Dwayne. 7 brides for 7 brothers.
Yeah, I knew that. Hartlett. I'm just waiting until you guys finally came up with it. Treadray
It'd have to get message to me.
takes the mark.
Who started it, Pickers?
God only knows.
But you're Brenner. That was a Western.
You talk about the run and carry. Handball receives 45 Sydney, 17 to Port. I went into this game thinking Port would run Sydney and Sydney would win the contested possessions, but at the moment Sydney are winning both.
Well, this would be appropriate. Hamish Hartlett's got the ball, and Port Adelaide haven't kicked a score, haven't kicked a goal, and Hamish Hartlett's never kicked a goal for them. This is game number 5. So it would be an appropriate start to his goal-kicking career if he can nail this one to get Port on the board.
He is a very, very good kick, this young player.
Not bad off the boot, and it's there. He's got his first. Port Adelaide finally have their first.
It's the first time I reckon I've ever done it, Danny. Said someone's a good kick, and they've actually proved to be correct. That was a magnificent kick from a young player, completely against the flow of the game.
That's an outstanding kick, and they desperately need it. And you just see Warren Treadray there. It was a very good spot up, and I think that was the key then. He had composure. 4 or 5 entries for Port. They've just blazed away. They've got to be aware that Sydney are pushing numbers behind the ball. You need to spot up targets such as this and kick the long goal.
And at pick 4, he's Port's earliest pick in a draft ever. In last year's draft, of course, behind Watts, Natanui and Hill. And the reports were that Port Adelaide would have taken him ahead of all of those players except Natanui. They would have taken Natanui number 1, but Hartlett was their number 1 pick behind him. From the ball up, Buchanan manhandled it to the deck, and we'll get a ball up at 2:42 on the clock.
Colby, you talk about hardness. You've spotted Jude Bolton's work rate today.
He's been brilliant. He's had 9 disposals, 8 uncontested, but 2 clearances. He's come to the bench and sent on Captain Kirk for a run, but yeah, he's been great in this first quarter.
And the ball up, Brogan, Peter Burgoyne. Ebert's got a couple to beat here. Gets back. Craig Bolton. Ebert did well. Forced the contest. Logan lends a hand. Ebert back onto it. Can't slip the handball out. Malcheski. Kick smothered by Surgeon. Back to Kirk. And Malcheski gang tackled to the deck. We'll get a ball up. Just outside 50. O'Keefe, Bolton, Richards. Jude Bolton, of course, and Ted Richards having a rest.
Port need to turn their head at these stoppages because Sydney keep flipping one back behind the ball. The half forwards for Port have to be aware that, well, one, they've got to win the ball in there.
Kirk to O'Loughlin to Bird. Barry Hall peeling back to the square. O'Loughlin with the outside of the boot. Hall's on the move. Uses the body, but Pettigrew slapped it straight to Bevan. The Hall to Moore, who can kick a goal.
Oh, don't tell me.
It's party tricks from the Swans.
This is a clinic. This is an absolute clinical display from the Sydney Swans. I haven't seen a start like this. It is absolutely unbelievable. 8 goals won. That was clean. You see Barry Hall back in form last week with 5. And you just see there the 8th goal kicker in the first quarter. Hard to defend against. You cannot lay off anyone, and they've just been absolutely unbelievable, Sydney Swans.
And dare I say it, 8 goals from 8 different goal scorers for the Swans. And Jared Moore, good grounding to be a Swan, coached at Haileybury at one stage by triple Brownlow medalist Bobby Skilton. 8-1 to 1 straight. And the ball up. Buchanan, quick in off the square,
Yes.
gets the clearance.
Well, it's a bit easy, isn't it,
They're
really?
hungry. They're hungry, Sydney.
Crouched long. Barry Hall is always hungry. Chad Corns. And he ate a little bit of Barry Hall's arm there. We'll get a ball in with 1:38 on the clock.
That was the most aggressive thing I've seen from Port all day. That spoil there from Chad Corns, as we see.
He probably should have marked it.
Well, at least he's been aggressive in his pursuit there. I think that's a start. It's a good starting point at the moment. Too many Port players are second guessing and a second to the ball.
Oh, that's a terrific tap to space, but now he's got a problem.
So Peter Burgoyne short to wee, but no one ahead of him here.
Well, he must
Bolt.
hold.
He's got Craig Bolt, the only one inside the 50 for Port Adelaide.
Daniel Pearce has got laid out wide.
And that's the trouble at the moment, because Port have flipped an extra back into Sydney's forward half, and now they have to play this uncontested slow tempo style, which will suit Sydney because they're 7 goals down.
Oh, sure, with the big jump on Ebert and thumps it out of play, coming off a splendid game last week as well, Reece Shaw. 29 possessions, the most for Sydney in that win last week against the West Coast.
The most notable stat to me in this first quarter has been the handball received. 51 Sydney, 17 Port Adelaide. That's a work rate.
Broken down to grey there, and the don't argue was too high, according to umpire Matt Stevick. Barry Hall having a rest for the last minute of this opening term, but it's 43 points the margin.
You're right, Pickers. It's work rate and support in work rate as well. There's always a get-out kick, a release handball out the back. Their work for each other today is first class.
Well, Abbott's pushed forward here.
Buchanan to Crouch, who can go. And kick smothered. He just waited a little too long. Kane Corns on defensive 50. Heads wide to Ebert and maybe Port Adelaide.
It wasn't the right
for the last score of the term.
Wrong option there for Crouch being a right footer. He had a couple of forwards leading to the fat side. And he made a mistake by playing team football. You wear that one as a coach.
Now Brogan with a couple to beat here and can't beat Matner.
Have a look at the release here. Straight to shore and away they go.
So time will be the only thing to beat the Swans right now, because Port Adelaide certainly haven't been able to beat them in this opening term. Heads wide, Ted Richards, and the siren sounds to end a spectacular opening term for the Sydney Swans. They were simply awesome. 8 goals from 8 goal scorers, and they lead by 43. 8-1-49 to 1 straight 6.
Sydney doing it pretty easily in the forward line, and the scoreboard reflects that at quarter time. The Swans 8-1-49. They are 43-point leaders over Port Adelaide with a solid.
It's a major discrepancy.
But there's 4 or 5 different players with Port with those discrepancies. They just need to win the hard ball.
Well, on cue, he won a hard ball, Robbie Gray.
That's good.
Got the clearance there. 43 points down, Port Adelaide. Cassisi back to Robbie Gray. Another hard ball. He might go the whole way. He centres it towards Treadray, who gathers.
Well,
cue.
You couldn't have read it any better, Danny Frawley. He got the clearance out of the centre, then he got on the end of one.
And the key to it is Mark Williams would be sitting up in the box saying, why does it take a spray from the senior coach to get these boys playing some football?
Well, their captain needs, or their former captain now needs, to bang this one through, just to give them a little bit of belief.
7 goals for last week. His kicking was on, and it might be on today. Boy, did they need that. Never kicked a big bag against the Sydney Swans. Warren Treadray never had a 5 or more to his name. And they'll need him to fire in the final 3 terms here if they're to challenge by the end of this game. Almost a perfect palm down from Brogan to Robbie Gray again there for the clearance. Ball still in the middle. McVeigh going nowhere. Gray, he raked that out. Got it to Hartlett. And he kicks toward Treadray. Bouncing ball. Treadraper shoes. He's got a couple of Swans with him. Sure. He just put the afterburners on and got there first. Kirk, Jack, inboard. Now McVeigh and Moore calls him into it. McVeigh strolls inside 50. Spectacular. And he's had a tough time of it as well in many respects. Jared McVeigh didn't play in the premiership in 05, but did play in that losing grand final to the West Coast, but had an outstanding last season and a half. Won the best and fairest last year. And a very important cog driving this wheel, and he gets the clearance here. McVeigh with Kirk on cue. Now to little bounce.
Oh, no.
They are human.
Robbie Gray.
Should have given.
Surgeon from 45. Bends it back, but not enough.
I was in at Port Adelaide during the week, and Robbie Gray's name came up, and they do want to get him in the midfield, but they've had such a settled midfield group that today it presents an opportunity to maybe play him for more than he'd normally play. And I think that's been a bit about his development as a footballer, because he was a midfielder type in the under-18s. He's a strong boy, and he's nice and hard. And we've already seen in this quarter he's been involved in 3 or 4 passages of play.
They switch at all times, Sydney. And the run, that's where the run's coming from. They're creating the run with the extra.
So Craig Bolton with the all-important kick. Hartlett got a knuckle on it. Carlisle falls and Hartlett peels back. Chaplin. Hartlett. Or across the defensive goal, and Adam Goods got a palm on it, keeps it in the area. We'll get a ball in. Adam Goods played a little bit of his junior footy in South Australia.
We just see Reece Shaw putting the afterburners on, and our very own Lee Colbert there. You were brave, Lee Colbert, but just didn't bat an eyelid, Lee.
Oh, he had the very scared look on his face down there, leaping Leroy.
What happened, Colby?
I got a little scared, yeah.
Well, at least if you own up to it, it's not so bad.
Oh, he was petrified.
Just for those who didn't see Lee Colbert play, he was the exact opposite to that when he did play. Just wanted to clarify that for you, Lee. You deserve that at least. Ball out of play on the full.
Yes, no, I think anyone's doubting that side of things, but he did look a fraction timid on that occasion.
He is a good-looking boy, though, isn't he? O'Loughlin.
He's a good-looking rooster.
Now, Port Adelaide pushing the numbers back here, so Sydney will have to work their way around. They'll be happy to do this. Just keep chipping it up till they get the opportunity to attack.
Bevan back to Ted Richards.
Sometimes you've got to push the zone all the way across and then all the way back to find the opening.
It's like a piano accordion, really, the zone. You pull it out and try and stretch it to give the space in the middle of it all, and Bevan helping them do exactly that.
One-on-one everywhere here, Port Adelaide now, if you have a look.
So Surgeon in a one-on-one with Jude Bolton. And Jude Bolton didn't... No, he did win it. He got it to O'Keefe, but he was gang-tackled, and now he's over it. And it's a free kick to O'Keefe.
I tell you, they need a lift from Port Adelaide. Daniel Pearce, just 2 touches. Kieran Jack's done a real number on Daniel Pearce early in this match.
And he has been inconsistent the last couple of years, Daniel Pearce. We know how good he can play, but he was even dropped last year because of that inconsistency.
But I think when he's up and going, he's probably the class factor. I mean, they've got a heap of good players, Port Adelaide, but he's one.
He's jolly.
To jolly.
He is a very, very good ruckman now, Darren Jolly. And he plays, he's smart. He gets into holes because everyone's looking at Barry Hall, O'Loughlin, Goods, and then the big ruckman, you just see him there in the right of screen, finds the space, and they, more importantly, give the ball to him.
I think you were right with your call earlier, Danny. He would be the front runner for all Australian honours right now.
He'd be in mine.
Yeah. He's been good for a while now. He does hold the all-time hit-outs record of 49 in a game.
And he's a good kick too.
Yeah, so he's got the all-round game. And Jolly has 2. And he actually knocked back his first invitation to be an AFL footballer. He was an apprentice carpenter, and he said that being a carpenter might be a better profession than being a footballer. Started his career at the Demons, of course, and really blossomed here at the Swans from the ball up.
Up at North Ballarat as well, Dwayne, in the VFL before that.
Your old territory?
Yeah, come off the rookie list, another rookie list player.
You just wonder how Melbourne ever let him go.
Yeah.
When Jeff White was coming to the end, I know there were probably contractual issues there, but gee whiz, he's been a good player for Sydney.
Sydney have been very good at getting the player they want. And here's another player in particular.
Yeah.
Reece Shaw. They recruit their wants and needs.
Well,
Beautifully.
Jolly played in the flag in that first year at the club, so it was exactly what they needed. Hall off hands. Kieran Jack. Centering kick. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And Goods.
Oh, what a grab.
Unbelievable mark, Adam Goods. That was never his until it was.
Well, Chaplin, I thought, was going to come in and kill the ball, but he didn't find the body or the ball, Troy Chaplin. But great courage from Goods. It wasn't the greatest of kicks from Kieran Jack. I think fair to him, I think he was going for goal, and it faded over to Goods' pocket. Very good mark, courageous mark.
The lead stands at 48, and it's now 49. I've seen a few of those banana kicks miss this round. One from Brad Johnson, of course, and Adam Goods. Maybe a little too casual there. 49 points the lead.
You know, I'd like to look at that angle, another angle of that one, because you would have thought it seemed to be a fair way away from the boundary. He could have nearly kicked a drop punt.
A la Brad Johnson could nearly have kicked one on Friday night. Kane Corns.
Nothing to give to here. Look at the pressure they're under.
Kasisi. Kane Corns.
Oh, they're
Josh
in
Carr.
strife here. They're in real strife
Kane
here.
Corns.
That's
All those
deliberate.
possessions will count.
Well, they shouldn't. Well, they'll count, but they won't count in the coach's box, trust me. And Mark Williams does the numbers check at the end of the quarter. He won't count any of them.
Well, it was well disguised from Kane Corns. I think we all knew his intention, what it was.
White and Brogan tie up. Bird flicked it out. Thomas
Just
turns
numbers.
it over.
Oh,
Bird
party
knocks it
trick now.
to Shaw.
It's a way to numbers.
To Kirk. Now Michael O'Loughlin might get the run at this. He can't, and he marks it anyway.
Well, that is strength. Push Pettigrew on the side.
Well, I want to see this, Danny, because we have had this argument all year about whether you can push a player out, whether it's in the side or not. Now, let's have a look at this. If this isn't a push out of what we've seen in recent weeks, pushed him out of the way and then marked it.
No, that's a good mark.
I'm agreeing it's a good mark, but isn't this the argument that we had during the last couple of weeks with the Darren Glass one? And
I agree, but I actually thought the ball was within 5 metres there on the push. He pushed and then the ball landed in his arms.
And can he finish? Now, physics will actually tell you, they have timed the ball through the air, that you can't actually push a guy out and mark the ball in 2 motions with the ball within 5. The ball can't be within 5 for that movement to happen. But I think common sense and
in slow motion
150 years of 150 years of AFL tells you that should be a mark every time.
I agree.
Thomas.
I know where you're coming from as well, Pickers, but I still think that is a mark every day of the week.
well, I agree with you. It's the grey area of the explanation of what happened the other week.
Well, I think
They banged on about it for 2 weeks, saying that you can't do a 2-action movement.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what it was, right in front of the umpire.
You could argue he just
here's another
held-
look from a different angle.
He didn't just hold, that's a push.
Oh.
And on my view, anyway.
I think it's a good contest, personally.
We'll get clarification.
I just think it's a lack of strength from Pettigrew there.
I agree. I'm not saying that at all, but
McVeigh to Malcheski,
look
caught
at
by
the
Marlon
numbers.
Motlop.
Look at the numbers here of the running Swans.
Handball out to Jack. Oh, he's got O'Loughlin. Doesn't quite hit him, but O'Loughlin runs onto it regardless. Falls.
Oh, they fell off
Sells
him.
the dummy. Hands to Hall. He spins around. And it's a little too easy at the moment.
Just a little bit of, I want to kick the goal myself, creeping into Sydney. I think the first give from Mickey O from the ground level should have went out the back. And then Hall blazed away. So just need to keep playing team football here, the Swans.
Logan got it from Salopek and gave to Marlon Motlop. Takes a
smart.
strong grab. Does look a little different to his cousin. Fairly strongly built in the shoulders. Hartlett plays for the free.
Well done, Adam Goods. Just wanted the ball more
And
than
the play
forward
an
at the moment.
advantage. Kirk, Malcheski, Hall.
Good hit up, good hit up.
And no one's in the square here. Barry Hall can load up.
McVeigh's running hard.
Okay, McVeigh and Gray. And Robbie Gray kept his feet well. Salopek to Surgeon. Kane Corns. And Ebert to the open side. I think he just came off the bench.
I think he did.
That's the reason he was free. And so much space. Inboard to Lade. Played 13 minutes, second term. 51 points the margin as Daniel Motlop marks. It was 43 points at quarter time. So the Swans have extended their lead.
Nothing forward.
He's got to wait for Treadray to push forward. You see Treadray running hard towards goal square now.
And Treadray's in the box seat to grab this, and then Matner, Marlon Motlop's man, came across the front and thumped it out of play.
And that's the difference. The ability to support your teammate, not only at ground level, but in the air. Third man up. That's great team football.
Wobbly throw in. And an easy collect for White.
Oh, that's out the forward.
To Richards, to the boundary.
Oh, it bounced in there.
So Port Adelaide another chance here. Swans getting numbers back. Boak to Chaplin. And now into the congestion. Thomas almost fingertips. Ablett.
He's only got Mickey O up the ground, the only one-on-one they got, Sydney, so have to run this.
Bolton.
Craig Bolton, Malcheski, Ablett back to Craig Bolton. Now Malcheski to O'Loughlin on the move. Mickey O from the pocket to his own advantage.
Square.
He's got numbers in the goal square, floats it up. McVeigh, Pearce, good fist. Moore can't keep it alive, and Stephen Salopek.
You can see that McVeigh not happy that he kept it up in the air. He wanted it down low. We can get a look at that again.
It's a good test for Stephen Salopek's shoulder there. Back into the team this week. Didn't play against the Tigers last week with that shoulder. Josh Carr likewise didn't play last week. Takes the mark. Daniel Motlop spins out of trouble and then into trouble. Little don't argue on Buchanan. Back to Carr.
It's a better kick.
Treadray. And maybe within range here. Plays on quickly. No one in the square. Drives it long. And he misses. 51 points.
70 more possessions to Sydney at the moment. See how long he had to wait. Just set it up there for McVeigh. And he's not happy with Mickey O on that occasion.
You've got to hand it to Sydney's defence. I know, look, they've had a lot of the ball. It's an understatement. 16 inside 50s for Port for 2 goals. It's good defence.
Oh, big Grundy! Over the top. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, the fans rise for that one.
It's AFL football at its absolute best.
Oh, that was a brilliant ride.
Out of nowhere.
He got a little bit too excited with the kick out of play.
That was an unbelievable mark. I thought he'd gone miles too early here.
Oh, have a look at that.
That's near the mark of the year, isn't it?
That's nice.
Gee, I hope there was someone on the ground level with a camera. I'm sure there would be, as far as like a still shot. That would look sensational.
What it look like to you, Lee Colbert, at ground level?
It was unbelievable. In the Swans bench, it was hilarious. They all went up as one, including Roosie. So very happy down here, the Swannies.
Just launched himself at it.
And sat there for a while as well.
Bit of hang time.
And we're still in awe of that mark as we get a ball up here, as we were in awe of.
Yeah, that's a good camera angle. He's landed hard.
Luckily, there's been a bit of rain up here this week. Soften the blow somewhat.
As we were in awe of this scoreboard. 51 points to margin, 10 goals to 2 at the moment. Peter Burgoyne to Treadray on the move. He was crunched in that attempt to mark.
Good
and
courage,
crunched
Matt.
legally, obviously. Treadray back in. Tackled by Ablett.
I'd like to have another look at that. The bloke at the front.
Matner was outstanding.
He was.
He have his eyes on the ball. That's the key. If he didn't, it should have been nearly a...
Yeah, he did.
Very good
Nothing wrong
play.
with that.
Yep,
Well done,
fantastic.
Matner.
Martin Matner. From the ball up. Jude Bolton, Shaw, O'Keefe. It's a stat fest at the moment.
Wow.
Grundy.
See one side attacking the footy there, though.
Kick not so good again, though. After a very good gather, Peter Burgoyne can't gather. Almost throws that out. Pearce through traffic. He goes long to the square. Motlop getting back and marks spectacularly.
Oh, he's thinking about playing on there. Oh, that's a super mark.
That's why Daniel Pearce is such an important player in this lineup.
Yeah.
Because his ability to kick the ball 55, 60 metres and pierce it low. Pardon the pun, given his name's Pearce, but is that a pun, Dwayne?
I enjoyed it.
Anyway, he can kick it long and low.
And that's just regulation. No degree of difficulty there for Daniel Motlop. And they have been an outstanding Indigenous family in general, the Motlops. His cousin Marlon, of course, playing today, but his brother Stephen's on Geelong's list, and his grandfather Chico was one of the most respected sportsmen ever in Darwin. His father Eddie is a legend up there, his mum Stephanie, and his brother Shannon, an AFL footballer as well. Outstanding family And the two Motlops here today playing an Indigenous round, and Port Adelaide trying to fight their way back into this. 45 points the margin. It was 43 at quarter time, and we're about to tick into time on second term. Umpire Hayden Kennedy. Dominic Cassisi with the clearance. It's a wide ball. Surgeon pursues it, wraps up more, drags him down, good tackle. Jack shrugs the tackle, kicks to half forward, and that was a little nudge out on Grundy by Chaplin. Crowd knew it, umpire ignored it. Hartlett, Salopek, Kane Corns, Daniel Pearce, Robbie Gray.
Little slip there.
Pettigrew out wide.
And comes back to Salopek.
It's a better run, though.
Spots Carr, who can get and go here, although he runs into Goods. Good tackle. Handballs over the top. Kirk a little slip. Throws it up, but to Brogan. He throws it out. Carr didn't really dispose of that legally. O'Keefe gathers, and he's gone. Well, I'm not sure Carr's handball was actually a handball.
We'll have another look here.
No, it's a throw.
Very good tackle from Adam Goods. Asking the question of the umpire, Hayden Kennedy. We've got the benefit of the replay, of course.
Dom Cassisi. This goes back to Chaplin.
Nearly every Sydney player inside the forward 50 for Port.
Carlisle to Pettigrew, who can launch a long ball.
What's the only option he had?
Yeah, had he launched it straight, it would have been a different story, but that was out of bounds on the full, so the Swans flood back works.
Well, I think we'll see a lot more of this now because Sydney have got a match-winning lead, and it's up to Port to try and do something spectacular.
Yes, whereas the Swans don't necessarily want to go back into their shells, but don't need to take as many chances. Shaw, O'Keefe, O'Loughlin. Goose steps through a couple and sends a torpedo to the wing. Salopek, ball bounced unkindly for him, lays the tackle, drags Buchanan down, throws it out into the boot of Malcheski. Barry Hall lends a hand to Malcheski. Bouncing ball towards Grundy, can't collect it. Ball to the back of the pack, but then the pack rolls onto it and we'll get a ball up. These two teams met twice last year, as we see that one again, and the Sydney Swans won both times by 68 points and 11 points. They've had the wood on Port Adelaide in recent times, and that was at the SCG here, that big 68-point win, and they lead by 45 at the moment. Treadray can't get there for the half volley. Richards, Treadray, Bird with the bump, ball in.
Been impressed by the use of the handball today, Sydney. They've used the handball as an attacking weapon as well as defensively to get themselves out of trouble. They're going at nearly 50-50 kick handball ratio at the moment.
Double change for Port Adelaide. Chad Corns just on, wrapped up. Brogan. Now Treadray's got two to beat here. Can't beat them both. Richards with the thump down. Ebert. Kick smothered by Ablett. McVeigh. Shaw.
And that's why Port haven't come to play today, Pickers, because the handball receives 78-37. Sydney are giving Port a chance to tackle, yet Sydney are winning the tackles 29-21.
McVeigh, Grundy, Malcheski, Jude Bolton. Now the inside 50 towards Buchanan. Feeds the handball back. Bird. Jolly. He's already kicked a couple.
Facing the goal square on his own again.
Crouch. Jolly. And Barry Hall. How about
Easy. Beautiful kick, though, Jolly from a ruckman. He's just about BOG for mine, Jolly. Don't worry about the stats, the impact. That's a super kick. He sensed that Carlisle was behind Barry Hall. He just put the ball to his advantage. Just see this beautiful chip kick just in front of Barry Hall. Nothing Carlisle could do. It was a very good mark, but great kick.
That's a contested mark, no doubt about that. Carlisle was in a good position, really. Big Barry put his bum out, got himself a little bit of an extension. It was too strong.
Already has one. And this is getting a little cruel. Swans a chance to break their run. The way they're going, they've started this season loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. So this would be the first time for the year they've won two in a row. Chad Corns inside 50. Logan can't mark. Bevan, Malcheski, Cassisi tries the steal, and Kirk tied up by Ebert. That's presuming, of course, they win this game. They lead by 51 points at the moment.
Well, they're going to win it because, have a look, who gives the ball back to the umpire. I know it's on the ground there, but Brett Kirk had first hands on it. And every time there's a 50-50 ball, it's favouring Sydney because they're harder.
Turns 33 in October, Brett Kirk, and he is the evergreen. Brett Kirk, McVeigh, fist by Chaplin is good. Pearce collects the crumb, sends it back. Tredrea and Motlop both down there. Motlop with the crumb.
Give it.
He waited, and the give was the second option, and that was the delay that Sydney needed to send that out of play. Dom Cassisi a little disappointed, as is Daniel Motlop.
A lot of numbers around the ball here again. Sydney will love this congestion around the stoppage.
Paul Roos coaching from the bench. Crowd wanted ball. The umpire responded. Jude Bolton takes off with 2 minutes 30 on the clock. Sends it wide. Daniel Pearce rakes it in. I think a few Swans are a little spent at the moment. They've really given it everything. Jude Bolton getting back. Motlop finally puts his hand deep into the bag of tricks.
We saw the contested mark early on this quarter, but we having a chat before the game, Pickers. We love watching Port play, and in particular Daniel Motlop. That is an outstanding mark.
It was very Capper-esque with the push off from the shoulders.
Well, nothing Jude Bolton could do because he was just sitting under the ball and thought, I'm a little bit of trouble there, just a bit.
We know that the Motlop video this week, as he misses,
Now,
has shown him
that was too easy for him.
That is an amazing miss given what we've seen on that video during the week.
maybe if he was in the pie stand and had that shot, he might have put it through. But Danny, you've been caught under that. You've been in a few marks of the year.
Yeah, especially
yourself as a key defender.
Down that end too, the great Warwick Kappa. I knew something was going on when the right earlobe started bleeding. Warwick Kappa's boot. I thought, was it that high? And unfortunately, when you have a look at the replay, I thought, oh, is that what they're going mad about?
I think a few defenders had their ears bleeding from his talking all the time as well. At times, Warwick, he was good on the nouns and verbs as well. 1 minute 40 on the clock here. The margin, a nice even 50 points. Goods. The crowd really enjoying the game today. Sends it long. Chaplin keeps it alive when he needed to take it out. Ball still in. Ablett from the pocket. And he misses. Punches the margin out to 51, but they're expecting something brilliant with every passage of play now, the Swans fans.
Well, he was under pressure, Ablett, but he had two players on top of the square, so a couple of players let them know. And I think Sydney Swans are coaching each other out there when they don't give the correct option team-wise, which is good.
Handball.
Bird short and a little too wide for Buchanan. I'm sure that slow-mo saw that slow-mo replay of Goods and Matt Thomas. Their history continues this afternoon. 72-21, 51 points in the shadows of half-time.
Not a lot of subtlety there shown by Matt Thomas.
No. And it's a good tackle by Salopek. A little bit in the back from Kirk, although Logan's now over it. Lee Colbert.
Jude Bolton just receiving some attention on the boundary line. His right shoulder, but seems to be okay. He's just chatted to Ruse and he'll be back out very soon.
Can you go into Port Adelaide's rooms at half-time, Lee, just to have a listen to what Mark Williams has to say?
I don't think you'll have to go in the rooms, Dwayne.
It's true. After the spray at quarter-time, I'm not sure there's any different level that he can go to.
They've come out in this second quarter, and what have they kicked? 1 goal, 2 goals, 2 goals, 3. Sydney have continued on with another 3 goals themselves.
O'Loughlin into the pocket, dragged off it, didn't really have it. Crowd felt it that way as well. And Alapate Carlisle sends it wide. Matt Thomas and Goods out there together.
Well, I think what Mark Williams can do at half-time is, and quite rightly so, ask the players.
Yeah.
Ask them what's going on out there. It's pretty simple, but get them to talk the talk and then walk the walk after half-time.
Played that well, Adam Goods. He didn't really have it, but he wasn't really grabbed either. Ablett dragged down. We'll get another ball up. Josh Carr with the tackle.
The season's so even, especially the fact that there's two sides on top in Sydney and Geelong unbeaten. The battle for third and fourth is 8 or 9 teams can get that double chance. So anytime you have a slip up mentally and you get beat, it really is tough to get that game back.
Free kick for Port Adelaide's Stephen Salopek, but it is an ugly scoreboard for Port Adelaide fans, but it's a delight to see for Swan fans here at the SCG today. Round 9, and it doesn't get much better than this. 11-6, 72. They lead by 51. Port Adelaide 3-3. Winning.
Half time of the SCG, and the news is all good for Sydney fans. The Swans lead 11-6, 72. They are 51-point leaders. Port Adelaide 3-3-21. 8 goal kickers for the Swans. McVeigh, Jolly and Hall both have a pair. Kirk amongst it, Bolton's, both of them getting plenty of the ball. While for Port Adelaide, well, there's some possessions there, but not enough.
They've won their last 4 against Port Adelaide, the Sydney Swans. They're a chance to keep that run going. To start this second half, Brogan and Jolly tie up, and there's that perfect flick down to Robbie Gray to Treadray. That's perfection.
He did that last quarter. Same thing happened. Robbie Gray got the clearance. Port Adelaide got an early goal to Treadray. See if he can do it again to start the third.
So he has won, Warren Treadray. A couple of shots in that second term. One accurate, one not. Big kick this for momentum. Give Port Adelaide some sort of hope, and he's nailed that. It's his second. Good start. There's 2 goals won for today. 29-13 the season. Coming off 7 goals 4 last week. And it's back to 45 points. If you have joined us late, it was 43 points the margin at quarter time. From the ball up, free kick to Port Adelaide. Play on for some advantage. Hartlett sends it wide. Ebert. Well, that was a push out. Yeah, well, that wasn't just hands in the back. That was...
Well, it was Reece Shaw, Dwayne, and he's a loose player at the moment. He hasn't got an opponent. Chaplin up the other end's free for Port, but Reece Shaw, yeah, not only was the hands in the back, it was a decent old shove in the back, that one.
Well, he kicked 6 in a game last year against the Sydney Swans. Brett Ebert hasn't got one so far today. There's the 3. This will test him this distance. In fact, he got the 3 Brownlow votes when he kicked that 6 against the Swans last year. Sits this up to the square. Treadray and Brogan had a piece of it. Jolly, that's almost a throw. Shaw, Kirk, ridden into the ground. Thomas, Motlop tries the outside of the foot. And we'll get a ball in. Good spot for Port Adelaide, though.
Better intensity. Only early in this third quarter, but a lot more aggression, a bit more life around the stoppages.
This would be the biggest comeback in Port Adelaide history if they do this. Brogan. Little knockdown. And we'll get a ball up from umpire Hayden Kennedy. 3 minutes in. Third term.
It's just very rare you see sides come back against Sydney when they trail by such a margin.
Especially here. Brogan, little slap down. Malcheski grabbed by Hartlett before he really took possession.
We've got 27 players around the ball at the moment.
Sydney
9
can
just
do that.
Behind the ball.
Sydney can do that for the whole last half and almost be assured they won't get overhauled. Jolly front spot. Brogan, Treadray, ball slapped out of the congestion to Pearce on the left, bends it back, but not enough.
That was an excellent tap. Just hit the ball to space, because in and under there's always going to be a scrimmage effect. So to get the ball to space is good thinking there from Port. They need to get the game open a little bit more too. Take the game on.
Hasn't quite been his day today, Daniel Pearce. Craig Bolton held up. It's just the 9 disposals for Daniel Pearce so far as Ted Richards holds the mark.
Well, again, that was a slow play. Just not a lot of aggression in that contested mark there. Great mark from Richards, but should have been a third man coming over the top there to spoil the ball.
Craig Bolton kicks long. Grundy and Corns in a one-on-one. Grundy falls. Corns dives in. He's got a bit of help now. Ebert can throw this up to Hartlett. Needs to nail this pass. It's terrible. Treadray with a half volley attempt misses it. Marlon Motlop, some skills there. Through traffic, Cassisi back to Hartlett from 46. They get 2 in a row. And Hartlett has 2. All-Australian under-18 last year, Hamish Hartlett, on the back of some big contested possession numbers at under-18 level. West Adelaide, local boy. Brogan, the slap down, Peter Burgoyne can't quite clear it. Toe poke, finds Cassisi to Treadray on 48, and he'll kick from the paint.
Well, they've won all 3 centre clearances, that's the key. And if you can keep winning centre clearances, you're giving your forwards a chance to go one-on-one.
Well, the Sydney Swans have been losing the centre clearances this year, and that's normally their strong point. It has been for years now, and yet they've been losing them this year. They lost them last week and won the game. Treadray misses, only a behind.
I mentioned the centre square clearances. It's an area that, if we have a look at this setup here, it gets over, he knocks it forward, and it gets out the back. Now, there's no sweeper there. They've been taken to the contest. Just created a little bit of space there for Cassisi to run into.
It's as if, since half-time, they've said, any clearance, get the ball out of the space. Run onto it.
Well, it's a great strength of Port Adelaide. They've got so many good running players that if they can get it out in the open and make it a running game, but the problem was they just weren't running. Sydney were the side running in the first half.
Hartlett with the fist, and Jack keeps it in. Craig Bolton, Montlock comes at him, Shaw. Malcheski back into the team this week. And he sends that inside 50, and Brogan can't mark. Good contest from Barry Hall. That was a hard collision. Hall dives in, bottom of the pack. Robbie Gray got the arms clear. Was that a clear possession? Umpire said it was. Thomas, Hartlett having a big influence in this 3rd term.
Now, Pettigrew could get the handball inside here.
So Salopek to Pettigrew. Read your mind, pickers. Modlop.
Ebert's on.
Salopek. Ebert. Bouncing ball, and taps it to his own advantage, and handballs over the top to Chad Corns, to Modlop. This is kickable for Modlop. Well, they're all kickable for Modlop. Sends it goalward and misses.
Well, that's great running from Jolly, even though it went through before. We'll head down to Lee Colbert with Brogan.
Yeah, he just got a nice whack your chest right on his left, actually left elbow of Barry Hall, right on his right eye of Dean Brogan. But yeah, spoke about the centre clearances. Jolly back on the ground, boys, so it might be a change for the Swans.
Jolly gets the kick away after waiting, and it was a dangerous kick, but a good mark to Craig Bolton under some pressure.
It's like a pinball back there at centre-half back. Dean Brogan copped it in the air, then got up and copped it on the melon again.
Shaw to Richards, ridden by Cassisi. See Daniel Motlop hobbling behind players. Goods takes another mark on Thomas.
They need to look for that option more, Sydney, in the contested mark situation, because
Good
lost
punch,
it.
Carlisle.
But he lost it in the sun. I think Barry Hall in his defence, Dwayne.
Yeah, Carlisle did well. He stayed in the shadow. they led. One was in the shadow and one was in the sun.
There you can see Barry Hall there. If you had a led
along the shadow
yeah,
instead.
along the light tower shadow,
Yeah.
you would have been right.
Gray.
I reckon that would be a pre-game setup.
Salopek now. Is that deliberate?
It'd want to be a good kick. You see the shadow there, just on the right of screen.
He had a shocker. Salopek, so far this afternoon, he's been such a good player for a long time, but we know he's coming back from injury.
There's that shoulder, kept him out last week. Short, Jude Bolton. The numbers inboard, and finds Kirk. Plays on quickly, thumps it long. Michael O'Loughlin, good grab.
Well,
Pettigrew made him earn it.
That's Sydney's style. They've made it their own, especially on this ground. The transference of play around 70 metres from goal.
He takes off and kicks it across the face. Michael O'Loughlin got a big week coming up in 9 weeks from now. He's become the first Swan ever to play 300 games. That'll be round 19 against the Tigers of the MCG. This is game 290 for Michael O'Loughlin, the Port Adelaide bench.
Oh, they got the mummy down there on the boundary line. Oh, look at this. Here he goes. Another one, big goal.
Turnover. Jolly hits the post.
Gee, I reckon if you could pencil in, 3 or 4 goals out of your ruckman at the start of a match, you'd be very, very happy.
Well, they've got 3 between them already. Jolly 2 and White 1.
Thought he would have nailed that.
Chaplin sticks to the boundary. Josh Carr, who was the late inclusion today, didn't play last week in that thrilling victory against the Tigers. Premiership player with Port Adelaide, of course, towards Chad Corns. Had the leap, couldn't mark. Hartlett, Cassisi.
Kane Corns has been there.
Hartlett.
We'll finally get to him.
Kane Corns, Carr, little fumble. Caught by Jack. Ball comes free. Hartlett dives on it. Ablett a little bit in the back. Pearce steals it from Hall. Chaplin, Daniel Pearce. Kicks to the open side. Surgeon is out there with Moore. Good fist from Moore. Ball still alive. Boundary line looming. Surgeon cuts it off. It's a little shepherd from Salopek. High kick towards the wing. Bouncing ball. Shaw and Lade beat him to it. If you can believe that. Short pass not so good from the big man. Craig Bolton cuts it off to Adam Goods. And now the Swans away. Ablett, centre circle, dishes it up. Bird, Kirk, O'Loughlin.
Good.
Yes.
Super kick. Super kick. The Port players were watching the ball carrier and lost total vision of Mickey O. Now, that is fraught with danger. You'd want to make, there's plenty of pressure on the ball, but you see the Port players, O'Loughlin started 5 metres behind them.
No, Pettigrew was going to help Hall's opponent, Alapati Carlisle, and good play by Kirk. He didn't just see and kick to where he saw the first bit of movement, which was Hall. He actually summed up the situation, kicked into a bit of space, which is what O'Loughlin was able to run into, as we see the big mummy there.
Yes, Dean Brogan strapped up. Michael O'Loughlin from the club that's overtaken Port Adelaide as the most powerful in the SANFL Central Districts. And he sends that one straight over the umpire's hat. I mentioned his 300th game coming up in 9 weeks' time, but he's also got over 500 goals to his credit. 504 goals, and only 10 players in AFL VFL history have the 300-game, 500-goal double. So he is in elite company, Michael O'Loughlin. The clearance from Lade. Kicks inside 50. It's a chaos ball. Beats a few. Robbie Gray got the handball in the Treadray direction. Pack forms around it. And we'll get another ball up.
Colby, you've spotted something with Mickey O after kicking that goal.
The surgeon's gone back to him, and he certainly gives away quite a few centimetres to Mickey O, but he's just so electric on the ground and in the air. He's a very hard matchup.
It's another 9-centimetre difference we talked about earlier with Thomas and Goods.
And it looks like they're isolating Mickey O on Surgeon.
You would do that because Michael O'Loughlin, although he's 189, he's also a very good mark. So he's good overhead.
Laid little palm down to Ablett, ran back into traffic. Boak had it stolen from him by Bird. Oh, Richards, the seas parted for him.
Too hard.
Bevan, Jack, behind Richards. Clever.
It was clever.
Marlon Motlop just as clever. Oh, he passed that. He gave that off to Daniel Pearce.
Pass the parcel.
I think it's allowed in rugby league, but not in our game.
I think it was a forward pass anyway.
Yeah, it was. Wayne, you're right. Here's McVeigh.
Jack
Here's the one.
to McVeigh and the short to O'Keefe. Now O'Loughlin's still in the goal square. He's telling Barry Hall to get out. Normally, shoes on the other foot.
He's
Barry
still
Hall
there,
telling him
Mickey
to get
O.
out.
He just kicks the ball to the fat side.
Barry Hall lurking here, flies, and good grab, Jack Corns.
Yeah, super mark.
Oh, Barry.
Super mark. The Sydney Swans player is hurt in that marking contest. Chad Corns landed on him. Has not moved.
And they'll need to get a stretcher out here. So Port Adelaide with control of the
he's
ball.
in a lot of trouble.
It's 18 plays 17, and Kirk just off. So the trainer's calling for a stop in play here. Barry Hall gets his arm slapped and will get a stop in play.
Well, the trainer hasn't gone to the umpire.
I think it's Craig Bird.
Barry?
In the hands of trainers.
It is Craig Bird, and he's knocked himself out, boys.
Okay.
And in the you'll see the marking contest here.
What's his own
Barry
man?
Hall's friendly fire. His left elbow.
Oh,
And then he's landed on his knee. Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Friendly fire initially from Barry. You just see Barry's elbow. And then, unfortunately, lands with his head on his knee. He might have been out even before he hit the ground. Liam?
Sure he was. Yeah, why they haven't got a stretcher out there just getting him off. And you can see he can't stand up. They're going to drag him off.
Well,
I mean, you
Sure
get
where
the
the
stretcher
stretcher
out
is.
there. They have called for it.
gee, he's in a bad way. I'm not too sure why they
He's not happy.
attempted to pick him up.
Yeah, finally.
Not sure whether...
Not all that happy, the players out there either, with the lack of Brett Kirk's calling his players in. Just to say, look, let's have a regroup here.
And Craig Bird, homegrown New South Wales product, albeit with some AFL bloodlines. Captain New South Wales ACT in the under-18s, and he's a two-time All-Australian under-18 that's been a fantastic local product here, playing for the Swans from Nelson Bay in New South Wales. And Sydney Swans and Port Adelaide getting together as Craig Bird is about to be placed on the stretcher.
Oh, now that the car's turned up, it's been going away.
Lee Colbert.
Just so you're aware, boys, Craig Bird actually tried to get up himself, and that's why the trainer was sort of supporting him. And Nathan Higgins, the doctor, then got out.
Yeah.
And actually, good practice after that.
Some will just say stay down and not let the player get up, but it's a hard one if the player wants to attempt to. You tell him no, you're not in a condition to be attempting anything. But he's able to lift his head up, and it doesn't look too bad by comparison. Hayden Kennedy and Barry Hall having a laugh. That's nice to see as well.
Well, Barry's had plenty of time to get plenty of juice into his kicking leg, and he'll need every bit of it because he'll be kicking from 55.
A bit of confusion on the boundary line here as well. They wanted to take him through the race, but clearly the doc said he's not fit, so they're taking him, through the gates.
Well, you don't have to take him through the interchange, Cole, because as soon as they're on a stretcher, it's a 20-minute time delayed till he gets on the ground anyway.
And that's what the doc was saying, but there's a few blokes confused.
So all eyes on Barry Hall. He's got 2. It's what he has ahead of him. Push this margin back to 50 points, and maybe had too long to think about it. Kick that through post high, so as you said, Spud, the juice back in that leg.
We got the oomph, not the accuracy.
Josh Carr, Hamish Hartlett. Possession number 14 coming up for Hartlett. Had a big third term, sends this wide. Logan. Salopek.
Turning into a bit of a possession feast this quarter now.
Big leap from Carlisle over Hall. Couldn't mark it. Goods.
Geez, Mickey O's on if I can find him.
Takes on Pearce with a don't argue. Handball back to Jude Bolton. Moore. Kirk. Went back towards Goods. Carlisle slapped it away. Boat dives in with Kirk. 2 hard players, and it's been called for ball. Is that Travis Boak? Yep. Well, everybody had a piece of it.
Hell, I thought Jared Moore had just as much as Boak.
Well, he would have been better off if he wasn't quite as tough in the attempt to wrap it up, Travis Boak, because he got there first.
We'll just have another look.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, no, fair enough. He did.
Under the laws of the game.
Yep.
And McVeigh's pushed forward again.
Kirk, Grundy, Moore. The possession fest continues. And Grundy spears that inside 50. And the mark taken by Malcheski.
Been good today, Malcheski. He's had 12 handball received, so that's what they want him to do. Obviously run. He's pushed forward a few times as well. He's been out of the side. He was omitted.
Started on the bench.
Started on the bench. It was a lovely kick coming inside 50.
Not a bad player to have sitting on the bench just to get a little bit of run into your game.
This will be possession number 15 for Nick Malcheski. Gets the call to play on, and he's a long way out. Chips that to McVeigh, not 15, and McVeigh loads up. And they are getting a little too tricky, maybe the Sydney Swans, although with a 46-point lead, you can afford to be a little like that. Motlop, Marlin to Pettigrew. Sends it wide, Logan. Now Chesky with him, but really had to work to get there to make a contest, and he was spent. Logan inboard. Thomas. It's a touchback on Adam Goods. And now Chad Corns spills the chest mark.
It's been a good day for Chad Corns today.
Mops up his mess. Gives to Salopek. He heads toward Peter Burgoyne. Can't get there, and Craig Bolton, where Angels fear to tread again, dumps the ball out. And he's another one that emphasises your earlier point, Danny Frawley. Players that the Sydney Swans have traded to get to this club, although they did get him free of charge, Craig Bolton, but they've picked up some very good experienced players who've been long-time players for them. And on cue,
They got him
throws
in
out of possession here. Crouch.
Got him in the pre-season draft, but he's still the player that they required. A tall, running defender that can compete. They're very rare.
Buchanan takes them on down the outer side. Comes back inside. O'Keefe, McVeigh.
Look at this, though. They're queuing up on this side of the ground.
And here's another one they've traded for, Martin Matner, and he's been a very good pickup.
He should just settle here. He can nail this. Great running by Reece Shaw.
Well, the three half-backs, Matner, Shaw and Malcheski.
Make it 4. Ted Richards traded for him. You can keep going back as well.
Yep.
Jason Ball, Tony Lockett.
Gee, that's a nice action.
That's a delight to watch that kick. The margin is out to 52. Ten separate goal scorers now for the Sydney Swans.
Well, I think the reason Sydney do recruit players they need, Dwayne, the market suggests they need to stay competitive up here.
And they have done just that. They're back in the 8 with this win tonight, presuming, of course, a miracle doesn't occur for Port Adelaide as Chad Corns. It's the free for in the back. Cassisi, now he can go all the way here, size them up, looks at the sticks, hasn't got a long enough kick. Motlop's down there with 4 to beat. To the pocket, Bevan, Motlop tries to keep it alive but can't. Ball in.
You summed it up really well then, Dwayne, and your call, because he had 4 to beat. At the other end, it's one-on-one stuff. Sydney's defence has been willing to help out all day, push back and give support to each other, whereas Port have pretty much been, I'll worry about my man, and you worry about yours.
Josh Carr didn't get the free for in the back that he wanted. Ted Richards, one of those players who's changed clubs and done well for the Swans. Handball up, missed the target, gets it back again from McVeigh. Rolls it towards the wing, Moore edged out of it. Little Shepherd from Ablett, allowed O'Keefe through. Moore. Solid in the core, sends it to Jolly. And he wants to have a shot. Fair enough too.
He's got Mickey O one-on-one.
And Mickey O might not get there to take the mark. Bouncing ball. And the bounce was unkind to him. And Pettigrew deliberately allowed that to accidentally roll out. Michael O'Loughlin with a mouthful.
Just a couple of words of encouragement there to Darren Jolly. Just maybe give the ball a little bit more punch.
Jolly down to Moore. Jude Bolton. Josh Carr. Slick. Robbie Gray. Warren Treadray. And now Peter Burgoyne in a one-on-one with Crouch. With Fisher and Crouch back into the team this week. Late inclusion with Lewis Roberts-Thompson out. Peter Burgoyne heads toward Ebert. Thumped away from him by Bevan. Back to Crouch. McVeigh.
What a run.
O'Keefe. Crouch. And now Matner with a bounce. Looks up. Michael O'Loughlin. He's in the box seat this time. Can't mark. Pettigrew, good fist. Jude Bolton back towards Michael O'Loughlin. Brogan there. O'Loughlin steals it back again.
Good hands.
Ablett. Moore. He can stroll in. And he adds a little more to the scoreboard. Only a behind.
McVeigh won't be happy. He was in the goal square for the handball at the top of the screen. He's probably entitled to have a shot. He's 8 metres out.
I think he was. There was a Port player would have defended McVeigh if he handballed. It
was just on his right side. That was probably the only issue. We'd say, well, and we'll try and get another look at that because McVeigh's standing there looking at the goals.
What about Mickey O, though? 3 or 4 players, they're competing there.
Well, he just doesn't give the ball up.
He doesn't lose his feet either.
No, never goes to ground.
Treadray got it from Gray. Heads toward Peter Burgoyne, and again Jared Crouch thumps it out. South Australian boy Jared Crouch as well, and Jared Crouch said, as we're watching this one again, the snap, said in a player profile a couple of years ago when asked who the greatest player he'd ever seen was,
I think
actually said Russell Ebert.
You have to have a look at that replay. The hands were on to the top of the square to McVeigh from Jared Moore.
Yeah, I think we were being a little bit generous early days.
You kick the goal, you wear that, but when you miss and your teammate's in a better position.
Well, McVeigh's lived in the goal square today.
He's pushed
He's
hard.
lived there. He just keeps going from the midfield to the goal square. He'll end up kicking 4 or 5 goals the way he's going.
Boak, Logan, Kane Corns, Marlon Motlop, Peter Burgoyne peels off. being chased down by Craig Bolton. Gets the kick towards goal, and
Good kick.
it's there.
Super kick.
Peter Burgoyne with Craig Bolton. Talking about Jared Crouch and Russell Ebert. And Jared Crouch currently on Russell Ebert's son, Brett, in the forward line. So they maybe have a little bit to chat about. Quite a few South Australians in this Sydney Swans outfit. And the ball up. Quick takeaway from Kieran Jack. Over the shoulder. It's Ablett's ball. Play on advantage.
Taking too long.
Wasn't really advantage, although Jared Moore now has the crack a ton of time and misses, and now it was an advantage.
Colby, I want you to keep your eye on McVeigh and Moore at the moment. McVeigh again was on for the handball. And again he was ignored. Again he's shaking his head.
Still shaking his head, Jared McVeigh. Not happy. Fair to say he gave Moore a nice little spray.
Stephen Salopek got the ribs tested there by O'Keefe.
He'll lose his hair if he
look at
goes this up.
Pettigrew. What was that kick?
What is this rubbish?
Lachlan. He's caught. It's been a strange couple of minutes.
Oh, we've got to see that kick again from Pettigrew. Possibly one of the worst kicks I've seen in 10 years. Last 10 years.
Salopek was so hurt that he couldn't dispose of it properly, and he just gave the handball up to a player under pressure.
It went about 2 metres.
It's almost as if Port Adelaide has conceded as well. Oh, McVeigh might get his own goal outside of the foot. Carlisle pumps it through. Now Barry Hall telling Jarek McVeigh, why didn't you give it to me?
Is it a kick from Pettigrew if it comes off your shin?
I don't know, but I'm going to definitely get another look at that.
Marlon Motlop.
Straight up in the air, went 2 metres.
High bomb. Logan and Matner through Jolly's legs. It's even more strange. Jolly, not too sure what that was either. Salopek, dangerous kick.
Fair to say we're
Brogan.
not going to bottle the last 3 minutes of play on either side.
No, I can't see Port Adelaide bottling a lot out of this game.
Well, that's the trouble. When you get a lead such as this, it's got to be player-driven, because if Mark Williams and the coaching staff want to put an extra player behind the ball, Sydney will just play slow-tempo football.
Hartlett to Pearce, and Thomas Kahn out Mark Goods. Lays the tackle. Peter Burgoyne held, didn't have it.
No advantage, you wanted pressure.
1 minute to three-quarter time. 49 points to margin. So it's not all that much bigger than it was at quarter time when it was 43 points to the Swans. Long bomb, and Jude Bolt, clever.
Well, you know that you've got troubles when you resort to kicking torpedoes from 75 metres away.
The slow build-up, the slow play, and you talk about the defence, and it's just the chicken and egg, isn't it? If you play slow, it plays into Sydney's hands.
Harry
With their extra
Hall.
numbers, we'll get back.
Sorry, Danny.
No, you're right. It was a good grab, Dwayne. I should have read the play better than that.
McVeigh. We won't be able to have a shot from there. Seconds continue to roll. And they'll be content to go into three-quarter time with a 49-point lead, Sydney. Barry Hall's got a couple to his name. Darren Jolly's got a couple, but 10 separate goal scorers, the Swans. They've been awesome since their 8-goal-to-1 opening term. And they look like they'll be back inside the top 8 tonight after 9 rounds. Three-quarter time here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. They lead by 49, 13-13-91. Port Adelaide, and it's on in the middle, 6-6.
Folks.
Three-quarter time at the SCG, the scoreboard. The Swans out by 49 points, 13-13-91 to Port Adelaide 6-6.
Presuming, of course, Port Adelaide doesn't mount a monumental comeback to change the history books. Underway in the fourth term. Brogan gets the clearance. Thomas front spot again, can't outmark Adam Goods, who's been with him all day. Shaw, Jack, back to Shaw, who takes out Boak. Chad Corns to Robbie Gray. Ebert with the fly, can't mark it. Warren Treadray with the crumb. Peels back, gets the shot away toward goal. Hartlett backing back, can't get back quickly enough. Ball in.
Robbie Gray, the first clearance of the quarter again. It's the start of the second, the start of the third, and now the start of the last quarter. He's actually been okay in the midfield. Not sure he's going to be a huge possession winner, but he's had 16 touches as a midfielder, but he's pretty clean when he gets it.
Saw a quick shot of Craig Bird there on the bench and looking okay. relatively okay compared to when he came off. Salopek dived into that tackle, and he can tackle Brett Kirk, and he ties him up. There's Craig Bird. Brett Kirk, he's got a hug on him like grandma. You can't get around it. Once you're tackled, you're tackled. Jolly down again. Jude Bolton.
It's a good point you make, Dwayne.
Kennedy will pull it up.
With Kirk, he tackles with his torso first, and then his arms are used for obviously the pin, but he just throws himself hip to hip, and it's very hard to get out of it. Where a lot of guys tackle and they reach.
Kirk again with Surgeon. Side by side. Robbie Gray caught. O'Keefe over the top of him. Look at that. It's a maul in there.
Well, this will suit Sydney. Just extra numbers around the stoppages, and Port just need to find a way. They need to get the ball third man up here to space if they can.
Again, Jolly and Brogan. Moore had it but lost it. Hardlett tried to get a kick away, crunched by Goods, and Craig Bolton hands it out. Logan tried to trap it, dives back in. That's almost in the back. Crowd want ball, and they get that instead. Hayden Kennedy with that decision.
You look back at this game, it's 40 inside 50s to Sydney, 35 to Port Adelaide.
The big telling stat for mine is Sydney have got 21 players that have had 10 or more disposals, which is unbelievable, and the Ruckman White's the only one that hasn't for Sydney, and he's kicked a goal. Yet Port have got 11 less than 10. Too many passengers.
Jack to Goods to O'Loughlin, couldn't get a run at it. Chaplin thumps it outside defensive 50. Chad Corns picks up, kicks toward the wing. Matt Thomas will get there first, unless of course it rolls out of play. A tough day at the office for Matt Thomas.
Pearce looks pretty sore down there, Lee Colbert.
Yeah, he's that right leg. I'm not sure whether he's going to come off or not. Cam Falloon's trying to tell him to come off, but he won't.
I think if both captains were asked, do you want to end this one right now, they'd probably both say yes.
And Colby, he has actually gone off.
Yeah, he's walked off, and Kane Corn's coming back on with a sore shoulder, so injury being replaced by injury.
Mercy rule, you think, Dwayne?
Well, if it was cricket, they could probably get together and play a quick 2020 for the crowd instead of this final term. Kieran Jack with the kick. Logan, Thomas. Treadray calls for it short. Tough one to mark that. Ebert bumped off it. Ball slapped back to Chad Corns, and he can't barrel his way through. Giving some advice on the way through.
A couple of their better players have really struggled today, Port Adelaide. They've had a lot of players down, but Travis Boakes just had 7 touches today. He's been a very good contributor over the last few weeks. Chad Corns had 12, but with no real effect on the game.
Salopek's been quiet also.
Kane Corns got it from Treadray, but a little fumble. He's ridden again by McVeigh, and this time gets the benefit of the doubt. No holding the ball decision there.
It's quite an amazing statistic. As you mentioned earlier, Danny, 21 of the players over 10 possessions. If we can get Jesse White to get 5 more possessions, they'll have the full sheet.
Jolly dragged down, and we'll get another ball up. Port Adelaide play Collingwood as Pearce comes off. Collingwood next week at the MCG in a twilight game on Sunday. Sydney Swans have the Western Bulldogs in Canberra, and it's hard to know who might start the favourite in that one. The Swans and the Dogs in Canberra. And the ball up. Salopek. Cassisi. Well, he can kick it from there. 48 out. Goes long. And finally, we get a score in this final term. (91-48). The Swans with a poor percentage at the moment, so they'll be hoping for a big victory here to pump that up a little.
There's a win for Port. Matt Thomas, we know there's a height mismatch, but Goods has only had 12 to Matt Thomas's 8. And I think that's a good benchmark for Mark Williams to throw at his team after the game and say, well, there was a contest there all day between Thomas and Goods.
Make that 13. He sent them inside 50. Kirk to Ablett. And now O'Keefe with the big launch from one step. Brought the crowd to life again. He has been an outstanding contributor. 130 games without an injury now. He has missed one in that string of games, but he had the flu. He's never been reported, so never in danger of being forced to have a spell, and he just keeps on keeping on.
And he's as tough as they can.
Here he gets the ball on the cue. Jude Bolton got it from him, gives it up to Adam Goods, who bounces away from Matt Thomas, who bumped him on the kick. Barry Hall edged out of it by Carlisle. Jared Moore dives in. Robbie Gray, ball in one hand, slips the handball out to Hartlett. Ebert's on the move.
He's been very good today, Hartlett. That's disposal number 17. Used the ball well.
Ebert to the pocket. Motlop, and with him Craig Bolton does well.
We talked about pre-game, Danny, about the two teams being very similar with their clearances and the like. Hit outs to advantage. Port Adelaide have actually won 15-8 this afternoon. 27-29 clearances in favour of Sydney, but the one area is that the Swans big men have been able to push forward, get dangerous and kick goals.
McVeigh slipped it to Kirk. Tackle by Corns. Thomas has the snap. Can't get one back on Goods or behind.
And that's a stat that Port can take home, but it's been outside the game where I thought Port would have an advantage. That's where Sydney's really hurt Port today with their run and carry. And the handball receives now stands at 136 to Sydney, 69 to Port, which is an absolute smacking.
It certainly is.
That's work rate. It's the ability to support each other.
They're actually going, sorry Dwayne, they're going exactly, the kick to handball ratio is exactly 164 kicks, 164 handball, Sydney. And I reckon they've changed their game up a little bit with their ability to share it, especially quick hands in close.
You're right. And the handball receive suggests, as we see McVeigh, just a little fumble. The game's in motion all the time with those handball receives, so there's quick play-ons.
Oh, Motlop looked like he did something out there as he was chasing.
He might be cramping up, which is better than a hamstring.
And the last thing Port need, and more importantly Daniel Motlop, is an injury.
Matner, which is his man, wrapped up and holding the ball. Took on the tackler.
Well, he's been well held today.
Kane Corns to Boat to Kassisi. He hasn't had a great day, Daniel Motlop, just the 12 possessions, and he gets it here, loads up, even in the goal square, almost rakes it in. Shaw slips out a handball, but that's a behind. It's not deliberate.
He's very sore, Daniel Motlop. How's he look to you, Lee Colbert?
Very gingerly. He hasn't just walked 20 metres now, but yeah, he doesn't look overly great at the moment.
Looks like he jarred something just in running.
Well, his video has been downloaded this week more than the Paris Hilton video by footballers, and everybody in the world has seen it.
There's his direct opponent, Matner, and Motlop cannot run with him. And I know the runner is going out to Daniel Motlop now. And I think he said, well, if you're unable to chase like that, you better
come off,
young fella. He's really struggling, Motlop.
The hard part is when you have that video out there, you really have to back it up with the performance on the ground. And Daniel Motlop has played some unbelievable and outstanding football, but
he's sore now, Dwayne.
Every now and then he does have a game where he doesn't see a lot of it, and his 4 possession and his goalless grand final against Geelong a couple of years ago, an example of that as he hobbles from the field.
How's he look, Lee Colbert?
Yeah, he looks terrible, to be fair, but I don't know about the body jar, Spud, but we'll go with that.
Gee. He's looking very sore indeed.
I meant jarring one of his either ankle or knee, Lee, not the body jar.
It's one of your favourite bands, isn't it, Lee? Body jar?
Yes, I've used that before, but my main man upstairs is trying to go with my lines today.
Well, ever since you let yourself down when that Reece Shaw came towards you, it's been your day, Colby.
Petrified.
Crouch, not happy with that kick. Close to the boundary line, and we'll get a ball in.
Sorry to Mrs. Colbert listening up there at Bendigo, but your son did take the eyes off the ball today, which I wouldn't have said many moons ago about Lee.
He unfortunately put the skirt on today.
Gee. 47 points the margin. Laid. White wrapped up, and we'll get another ball up. So they've now won 5 in a row against Port Adelaide, the Sydney Swans. So certainly had Port Adelaide's measure in recent times. They'll edge their way from 10th on the AFL ladder at the start of this round inside the top 8. Josh Carr, the late inclusion today, has been okay. Chad Corns and Matt Thomas with Adam Goods side by side. Gets another stat on him. Marlon Motlop, who's been lively in his first game of the year. Kane Corns back to Thomas. Dominic Cassisi. And now Brogan in a 1-on-3 here. Forces the spoil on Crouch. Keeps the ball alive. Peter Burgoyne. Kane Corns rolls it inside 50. Gray slaps it down. He was a little too slick for Logan. Taken out of it illegally. Tom Logan, and he'll line up at goal.
Good play from Gray. If he had have grabbed the ball, and we just see here, yeah, definitely too high.
Well, he was the clubhouse leader for Mark of the Year coming into this game, Tom Logan, but Heath Grundy took a contender earlier today. And there's been a few highlights in this game, but not many of them from Port Adelaide players. Swans, after opening up a 43-point lead at quarter time with an awesome display at home. And that's what Tom Logan has ahead of him. Hasn't kicked one today. He has now. And a little bit of wallpaper over the cracks for Port Adelaide. Just having a chat. Nick Malcheski. Darwin boy Tom Logan. Played with a lot of Indigenous players when he was in Darwin, and we're happy to be involved in Indigenous rounders. Robbie Gray gets another clearance. Sends it towards Ebert. Can't complete the mark. Kirk the crumb. Reece Shaw. Ryan O'Keefe. Eamon Buchanan. Barry Hall calls for it inside 50 in his direction. Gets the fly at it. Chad Corns with a big thump over the head of his brother. Buchanan sidesteps traffic. Malcheski loads up just across the face a little, and the ball thumped away from Jesse White. Barry Hall hobbling a little at the moment.
And I think Chad Corns put his knee right into his back here.
Okay.
And that does hurt a bit.
Yes, and Barry would know. He's done it himself a few times to others. Boak. Marlon Modlop. Little dance step around Kirk. Slips it towards Ebert. Strong hands there. And he can line up, and they can bring this margin below.
Well, he needs to kick this.
40-point mark for the first time since early in the opening term.
He needs to kick this for his own confidence. He's only kicked the 8 goals this year. He's having a number of chances. Bevan's been outstanding today on Ebert. He's only had the 10 disposals, Ebert. Yet to kick a goal in this game. He's kicked 8 for the year. Need more from Brett Ebert.
Close to the man on the mark.
He did. And it's through. Somehow went through arms and fingers. It's back to 36 points. Lee Colbert on the boundary.
Well, I've just watched Daniel Motlop come back on. It's a minor miracle, but he's back, Danny. But I don't think he looks any better.
Oh, that's good news, but the way he hobbled off, I thought he's going to miss 3 or 4 weeks.
I think it was a little bit of cramp. Jude Bolton through traffic. Travis Boak hunted it down hard. Hamish Hartlett. He's had a pretty good day. Hamish Hartlett. He's fought hard. 16 possessions.
Kicked a couple of goals too, Dwayne. His ball use has been terrific this afternoon. They've kicked 4 of the last 5 goals here, Port Adelaide. The last goal of the 3rd quarter, and then 3 of the first 4 here. Now, you wouldn't give them a chance of winning, but their effort's been there, which is one good sign.
Logan thumps it inside 50, and Motlop couldn't run at that. Yeah, he was about 5 metres behind Matner.
Well, this will test him the run now. No, he's injured.
Well, I can't understand why he's back on the ground. Colby, what's their bench situation?
The bench is fine. They've got 3 blokes there. Dom Cassisi's on his feet, but yeah, it's surprising that he's out there, really.
Buchanan to Hall. Well, Port Adelaide did come from this margin down a couple of weeks ago at this stage of the game against North Melbourne, and were beaten by a kick. But
just want to have a look at this kick from Ebert.
On them for a while.
I think Jolly and the ruckman, he should have come from behind the line. Definitely should have touched that. He got under the ball.
Well shepherded by Brogan,
It
though.
was well shepherded, but the ruckman always should have a run and jump at the ball. You see the runner's gone out to Motlop to see if he's okay.
Well, the big problem there is his opponent's Matner, and Matner will run at every chance he gets now.
Barry Hall for his third. And he sprays that. Big leap, but another great mark on the line, Jesse White. Well, you asked for it, and Jesse looks like he'll deliver.
Great grab. He's already kicked a goal. Jolly's kicked 2, so they have 4 goals between them. It's a match-winning effort. Have a look at the leap. That's fantastic. It's a great weapon to have. Your ruckman that can push forward and take a contested mark, and when you've got 2, it's very hard to defend against.
Knows his footy, opens up the angle and kicks the goal. He's got 2. It's game number 9 for Jesse White, but it's his 3rd season on the list. He was picked 79 back in 2006, former basketballer, and we might get a few basketballers to the game of AFL given the NBL situation at the moment. If you're a young kid looking for something to do and you're 6'7", we've got a sport for you.
Lee Colbert, looks like Daniel Motlop is done for the day.
He's cooked, Danny. Yep, he's come off again, and as you mentioned, they actually rubbed him for cramp, so I'm not quite sure exactly it would be cramp, but he's certainly off for the day.
Jesse White again goes for it, and he's one of the players from the Gold Coast as well, and that's one of the reasons why the AFL's putting a team up there.
Oh,
there's a growing football neighbourhood up there.
There's been some real talent from out of there the last few years.
And they just keep coming from there. Tall players as well, for some strange reason. Buchanan.
Look at this run from the Swans. They're away here. If you,
Ablett, he just had to go back and get it, but Kirk will reload them here. Comes out wide. They've got a few
numbers
here.
everywhere. It's a raffle.
They'll get it to O'Keefe.
Kieran Jack. Well, there was too many tickets to pull out of the raffle. McVeigh, O'Keefe, Barry Hall in position A. Slips a little. Carlisle with him. Ball still alive here. Moore, Chad Corns, caught. Josh Carr. Boundary line his friend if he wants it. We put Poke under immense pressure. And Travis Poke finds the line.
The tackle from O'Keefe was outstanding. That's tackle number 8 for Ryan O'Keefe. You're right, Dwayne. Barry Hall just loses his footing there.
Yeah.
He marks the ball otherwise.
It's that rain we talked about. It's been pretty wet up here. Otherwise, you're right. He did everything right. Marks the ball on the goal square. Kicks his 3rd. Be pretty happy with his output this afternoon, I would have thought.
You can argue that his game today has been better than last week. Last week he kicked 5 goals from 9 possessions, and yet today Barry Hall has had 16 possessions and kicked 2 goals too, as Dean Brogan continues to bleed.
And 9 of those possessions, Dwayne, are contested from Barry Hall, so his work rate's there. He's roamed a lot further today. Last week he stayed at home a lot more, but with Ryan O'Keefe and O'Loughlin back in the team. Looks an angry young man, Lee Colbert. Dean Brogan down there.
It's like a emergency ward at the moment. Brogan off. Craig Bird doesn't know what day it is, and Motlop into the world of hurt.
From the ball up. Hamish Hartlett dragged down and get another ball up. Ticked into time on final term. And as we've said for a while now, they've had this wrapped up for a while, the Sydney Swans. 43-point leaders at quarter time, and it's 42 right now. So it's been the status quo for 3 quarters. Ablett with the tie-up tackle.
Been a stoppage.
Gee, he looks sick, doesn't he?
Yeah, he
Craig
does.
Bird. I'm not sure why he's just not inside in the shower or just laying on a bench. He looks like a pretty sick boy, and that's a pretty sick-looking bench too from Port Adelaide. They've had a dirty day today.
It's a pretty sick-looking scoreboard for Port Adelaide.
It's just a stoppage feast now, this game of football. And that'll suit Sydney.
Travis Poke's ball.
No, I'd go as far as I think the Swans would want to win this game comfortably, like as far as kick 2 or 3 more goals here, just because they're dominated by such an extent, most of the day, that to win by 3 goals in the end wouldn't be an indication or a justification of how well they have played this afternoon.
Laid with the fly and outmarks White. Good grab. And that's the other thing about Jesse White's game. He's been against 2 of the premier ruckmen in the competition. In fact, arguably the best double act that we've seen for the last decade in Brogan and Laid, as Robbie Gray gives the free away Craig Bolton's ball.
Well, his hands in the back or push in the back, whichever way you want to look at that free kick.
Yeah, the percentage is poor, the Swans, so percentage builder is exactly what they're after, but they're back in the 8 at least. Barry Hall flies and plucks it from Jude Bolton.
How does Barry Hall mark that without 5 or 6 Port players around, not able to get a fist on that? I think both teams have put their cue in the rack at the moment.
And Barry Hall has come off. Just to emphasise your point, short pass from Jude Bolton, put his teammate Ablett under pressure. Pettigrew, Pearce, Boak to the open side, Chad Corns. Now he's got one-on-ones ahead of him. He picks out the Ebert-Bevan one-on-one to go to. Ebert used the body well, but Crouch comes across with Peter Burgoyne, and Crouch keeps it alive to Ablett. And they're away here. Bevan. He's got a number of options. A handball inboard, O'Keefe, Jude Bolton, Port Adelaide getting numbers back. Mackner, O'Loughlin. He's kicked many from this pocket. Mickey O. And elects not to, McVeigh. And finally, someone's passed to him when he's been relatively free, although Hamish Hartlett was right with him and was disappointed he didn't get the spoil in.
I'd be 1,000 to 1 to pass this off, I would have thought.
He's lining up for goal number 3. He was open 4 or 5 times early in the game on the top of the square.
Well, he can be the #1 goal kicker for the game.
And the #1 disposal getter. 25.
So for number 3, feeds across the face, and that's another behind. 25 minutes gone. It'll be a long term, even longer if you're a Port Adelaide fan. Marlon Motlop can't trap it. Kirk does. Slips a handball back in the Ablett direction, and he might. No, he might not. He kicks it out of play on the full.
Well, I haven't seen too many sides get beaten, Pickers, when you win the contested possessions easily, 114 to 90, win the tackles 67 to 53, and you smash a team in the handball receives 150 to 80.
And pressure on the Cassisi kick there, out of play on the full. Well played home in Buchanan.
The only way you get beaten if you butchered the ball by foot, but they're winning that also 71% effective kicks to 64% Port.
It's the pressure that they put on Port Adelaide this afternoon as it forced them to do things like that.
Moore to Jack to Goods. Thought about going for goal. Heads back to Moore. Tucked into the pocket. Disciplined centering kick.
Oh.
Jude Bolton with a fly. Couldn't mark it. McVeigh can't get a kick away. Kirk off the deck. Got a secondary roll. Adam Goods.
It's like soccer.
Easy as you like. That was his first sport. Rolls it home. And soccer was his sport, Adam Goods. He only started playing AFL because he moved to Horsham and there was no soccer team in Horsham for him to play in. Actually saw his first game of Aussie rules ever at Elizabeth Oval as a teenager when he went along to watch Michael O'Loughlin play and work in the hot dog van, if you can believe that. First ever game of AFL he saw at Central Districts Oval in South Australia. Wide ball. Jude Bolton. Kieran Jack. Wobbles one inside 50. Moore hunts it down. Still wants it. Centering kick. O'Loughlin can't get a fly. Chad Corns does. Inside 4 minutes to full time. Josh Carr. Possession number 15 coming up for him. Marlon Motlop.
That was clever play from Bevan then.
It wasn't a great handball by Carr.
No.
But the player Bevan, he had Ebert pushing to space, but he just corralled the ball carry. See Bevan here corralling Josh Carr, knowing that Ebert was trying to make space and that Malcheski was on his direct opponent there, so that was clever play there from Bevan.
White and Brogan, ball down to Kirk, and once again he's in the middle of it. Carr likewise in the middle of it. Got dumped after he got rid of it there, Josh Carr, so gets a free kick, as you heard, for in the back. 23,229 fans here to watch the Swans demolish Port Adelaide. 49 points the margin as it stands right now. 29 minutes gone, final term. Brogan pops it up in hope. Ebert takes the mark.
Good work there from Tredrake. Good team play. Just protected the area where Brett Ebert was going to mark the ball. Lining up for goal number 2.
Yes, kicked one earlier in this term. So a couple of consolation prizes maybe to come his way.
Good play there from Treadray. Use his big frame.
And that's a spear from the brute of Brett Ebert. He's got 2.
2 last quarter goals to Brett Ebert. It's a good indication that he's still working pretty hard. That was a nice mark, beautiful kick. Sure where Brett Ebert's at the moment as a player. I thought he worked really hard last week. He's an important player when they're up and going, Port Adelaide. But he's one of those players that you really need to give the help, I suppose, or the support to Warren Treadray. Motlop being well down as well today. Ebert's probably been one of their better forwards.
(111 to 68). 2 minutes 45 left on the clock. Brogan and White. White with the early leap, Brogan with the tap. Pearce with the clearance. Goods. Almost, but not quite. But he knocks it down regardless. Matner has had a good day at the office. Heads wide and mark taken by Grundy.
Full of raid today. Grundy. Full stretch out in front earlier on, just before half-time, the mark of the year. As you've called it, Dwayne, I tend to agree so far.
Yeah, Logan's mark was pretty good earlier this year as O'Loughlin. Well, this would be an appropriate full stop in Indigenous round if Michael O'Loughlin can go back and slot this from 50.
It'll test him a little bit. Kicking into the teeth of a little bit of a breeze there.
Didn't want to break the hamstring. Well, this would be appropriate too. Adam Goods from 50. Jolly with the fist.
Great spoil.
That's amazing. And a little fumble from Jude Bolton. But he goals it.
Great spoil there from Jolly. He just kept the ball alive.
Do you think that he deliberately punched that spot?
No, I don't think so, but he's caught behind. So that was the discipline that he did well. He could have tried to mark the ball, but he's caught behind. Here's Goods. Here's the kick.
Let's have a look at this.
Jolly was a chance to mark it, but he was caught behind. Hits it. Look, he'll claim that he hit the ball to Jude Bolton. Again, we've got another soccer goal. The last 2 goals coming off the ground from Sydney.
12 separate goal scorers for the Swans.
And the 3 leading possession getters on the ground for Sydney, Kirk, McVeigh and Bolton, have kicked 4 goals, 2 between them. So that's great to have a midfield not only winning the ball but pushing forward and hurting your opposition on the scoreboard.
Well, he's certainly the unsung hero of that midfield group. We hear a lot about Kirk and we know about McVeigh, who likes to push forward, but Bolton's had 25 touches or 26 touches today and 11 handball receives.
Yeah, I've liked his run and carry. Normally we see Jude Bolton in and under, and he's been that. We know he can play inside and outside, but he's been running hard. Here he goes again.
So legal spore. Hartlett thought he had his arm slapped. Malcheski, Grundy, back to Malcheski.
The big fella.
Good spot to put it. Almost, not
Jolly,
quite. Yes, it is Jolly. 3 grabs, not paid it. Gives to Buchanan, to O'Loughlin.
Look who's in the goal square.
Oh, this is like pulling the wings off flies. Kirk kicks the goal. They've toyed with them all day. The playthings.
Well, it started in the middle. Jude Bolton kicked the last goal. He's in the centre of the ground. He gets the ball, gets it forward to Malcheski. Long direct kick to Jolly, who I thought marked the ball. We just see, no, fair enough. Chad Corns may have touched the ball, but play-on's the call. Extra numbers. Buchanan draws the pressure. Mickey O, fantastic handball to Kirk. Kicks his 2nd goal. The 3 leading possession getters on the ground. 5 goals between them.
2 goals to Brett Kirk. And 55 points as it stands right now. Best part of 10 goals. And that's appropriate. But they win by about that margin. As they've been a 10-goal better team than Port Adelaide today.
Yeah,
Buchanan.
For the majority of the day they have, it's exactly right.
Jude Bolton to Jack. Grundy. Slapped away from him by Carlisle. Moore. He's fought hard from the start to the finish. Kirk rolls it back. O'Keefe. Jude Bolton. Brett Kirk. A wobbler. Robbie Gray stands under it. Takes the mark. So right now it stands at the biggest margin of the game as the final siren looms. And he kicks it out of bounds.
That sums up the afternoon for Port Adelaide, unfortunately.
Well, he was kicking it to his teammates, but unfortunately they're on the bench.
Yeah.
Well, been a very dirty day for Port Adelaide when they had a chance to go a game clear in third spot. Instead, now they've got Sydney breathing down their necks with a much better record against them.
One last chance for a big leap, and a crowd pleaser. Gray runs into a traffic jam. Little push in the back there, not paid. Adam Good slips it out. White, Kirk,
look at this.
Time enough for an O'Loughlin mark and finish. Oh, he spilled it. Siren beats him. Can you believe that? An awesome display by the Sydney Swans today at home. 23,000 fans here to see it. And they enjoyed it from the outset. A goal in the opening minute for the Swans. Port Adelaide never saw the lead from there. And it simply went up and up and up the margin. And 55 points at the finish.
And they were all Swans highlights of the SCG. The final scoreboard, Sydney 18-15, 123. Defeated Port Adelaide 10-8-68. The final margin, 55 points. And considering at quarter time it was 43 points, it basically held the margin for the Swans throughout the game. McVeigh, Jolly and Hall with 2 goals. Hartlett, Treadray and Ebert with 2 goals for the Power. And Captain Kirk with 29 possessions certainly got...